No, okay, no. We're not doing the whole intro. And you know why? Because everything's fine. There's nothing to do with video about. We're okay. We can still play Metroid Prime Federation Force after April 2024. Everything's fine. But what if this isn't just a joke? Then what? Well, I guess I'll have to talk about my favourite online 3DS and Wii U games. Here we go. But it's okay because it's not really happening, so we can be happy about it. I'm going to limit this to just 10 games, but real quick, a shout out to these three. Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D. This thing gave me so much joy in the early 3DS days, where it basically took the Mercenaries mode from Resident Evil 4 and 5 and squished them together, giving you maps from both games, and a pool of characters from both games, apart from not Leon for some reason. I don't know why. It was the first Resident Evil to let you move while shoot, which is a pretty big milestone for the series, and it's just so much fun to play online. And Tekken Tag Tournament 2! This game is still played online today. It is the preferred version of Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and the reason for that is because you can dress anyone in a Nintendo costume. Mario costume, Link costumes, Samus costumes, Zero Suit Samus costumes, Captain Falcon costumes, Bowser costumes, Ganondorf costumes. Everybody in the cast has their own Nintendo outfit, and it is a wild game. You can still pretty much come on this game any time in the day and you'll find someone playing. They are always playing Tekken Tag Tournament 2. And without the Wii U version, we're going to have to go and play some scummy version without even a Captain Falcon costume. And another fighting game I really admire is the 3DS version of Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 4 3D Edition. This is a really great game for newcomers because you can map your specials to the touchscreen, but of course with matchmaking you can say, I don't want to play with those people, I just want to play Street Fighter 4, and it's just a really competent portable version of that game. There's even a third-person mode where you can put the camera behind the fighter to give you more of a 3D perspective, which is odd, but it's cool that it's there. Anyway, here are the 10 3DS and Wii U games I am gonna miss the most. But really, I'm not gonna miss them because nothing's happening to them because everything's fine. Kid Icarus Uprising is one of the greatest games of all time. And not only is it such a robust single-player game, but there's also a very complete multiplayer experience. You've got a ton of maps, you've got 2 game modes, free-for-all or light versus dark. And the cool thing about light versus dark is you're basically dwindling down a shared power meter. And depending on the weapons you choose, the greater chunk of that power meter will go if you die. So there's a balance to choosing the better weapons. And if that meter depletes, one person becomes an angel. And if that angel dies, the other team wins. It is such a cool mode. And there's so many different weapons, there's so much strategy, and people are still playing this thing today. Now, on the bright side, there is an offline mode where you can play with people locally. And on the brighter side, there are bots. So if you want to play this single player, technically you still can. But even with all that, it's going to be such a shame to lose the core online experience, because I put so many hours into this. I put way more hours into the multiplayer than I did the single player, and I played the single player a ton. Uprising is simply one of the best shooters ever made, both single player and multiplayer. And if this isn't remastered in the immediate future, I think we should set fire to things. Who's with me? Shout out to my boy Brandon. A whole generation of Monster Hunter is disappearing. And the big one is Monster Hunter 4. You can still play this single player, but there is such an extra life in the multiplayer aspect of this game. And while Monster Hunter Generations lives on the Switch, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate kind of has it rough, because that game already lost its life on the Wii with Tri, and to have a second chance with Ultimate only to lose it again on both 3DS and Wii U is a massive shame. So 3 is basically going into this void where we can't play it online anymore. 4, likewise, Generations gets to live on, but, you know, Monster Hunter's moved on to this new space with Rise and World, where they've really evolved what the core is. And if you wanted to play just classic Monster Hunter, you're a little bit screwed, especially if you want to do it with others. 3 and 4 are simply no more, in multiplayer at the very least, and that's a huge damn shame. There are 2 Mario Karts losing their online functionality. The first is the vanilla Mario Kart 8. And yes, people do still play this on Wii U today. I think there's a couple of reasons. One, there's a few techs that weren't in the deluxe version, like fire hopping, and also there's only 1 item slot, so you've got to use a bit more strategy about when you use your items. So the actual meta is different. And also the battle mode, while most would see it as a downgrade on Wii U, some people are still playing it. And when I say some, I mean like at any point in the day, you can play Wii U Battle Mode and you'll find people. But the bigger loss, really, is Mario Kart 7. And like, keep into account too, while the Wii U had an install base of around 14 million, the 3DS was greatly larger. There were 75 million 3DS systems out there, so of course Mario Kart 7 is very populated online. You can find full 8-player rooms at any moment. And there's still unique courses, there's unique characters like the Honeybee Queen, and it just doesn't feel like Mario Kart 8. There's a very distinct difference between 7 and 8. The battle courses are unique too. There's just so many reasons you would keep playing Mario Kart 7. And there's also mods for this game too, which I imagine will also lose their online functionality, given that I think they still use Nintendo Network as their base. So, big shame all around for Mario Kart 7, and Mario Kart 8 is also in the shame bucket. While it may be seen as iterative and replaced by New Horizons, losing Animal Crossing New Leaf also hits pretty hard. Many of us put hundreds of hours into our towns, and to no longer be able to share them with our friends just plain sucks. There's a lot of limited edition items in this game too, and Nintendo-themed costumes and items, like you can get Zelda costumes and Mario costumes, or like a 1-up block. And I remember back at Nintendo Life, I was recording a video on the history of Puzzle League and Pound Upon, and a very kind follower gifted me their 3DS in-game item, which lets you play Puzzle League within Animal Crossing, and to get that myself would have taken a very long time. So just inviting them to my town and sharing it had a bond. It was a cool moment. And to not be able to do that in the future is just going to plain suck. As good as New Horizons is, New Leaf has a lot that New Horizons doesn't have. And sometimes you just want to chill with your friends in a nostalgic place that you spent time with together in the past. Just sort of reconnect and just be together. I don't care what anyone says. The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes can be a very good game when playing with friends. When playing offline, that game just plain sucks. It wasn't made to be played with one person. You're meant to be playing with 3 people simultaneously. And while that is still possible via local play, everyone has to have a copy of the game. Everyone's got to have a 3DS. But online, while that is still true, you're distanced around the world. You can just set up an online game whenever you want to. That is the ideal way to play Triforce Heroes. And unfortunately, that's just not going to be the case anymore. And it makes me wonder if anyone, or a very select group, will ever be able to play this game the way it was meant to be played ever again. Triforce Heroes reused as the base of A Link Between Worlds. It's a good game at its core, and there's so many cool multiplayer puzzles, and if you are playing with like-minded people who aren't just trying to screw you over, I think you'll have a really good time with this game. But you've got to do it before April, because after that, it's very situational to when you're ever going to play Triforce Heroes. It is a core Zelda game, and losing this, I think, hurts more than most other games on this list. An entire generation of online Super Smash Bros. Is also disappearing before our eyes. Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. Both still have unique stages that aren't in Ultimate. Both still feel distinct and different to Ultimate. The actual game physics are different. The meta is different. Characters are better in specific games. It's definitely a big loss to lose this one. And how the online works is very different too. In Ultimate, you have your preferences, and it'll try and match you with someone who also has those preferences. But in Smash 4, it basically just lets you do for glory or for fun. You can just do one-on-one on a Omega stage guaranteed every time if that's what you want. So while that's more limited in some ways, it also guarantees you get exactly what you're asking for. And Smash is a time capsule. Smash is a museum of Nintendo history. And for that itself to kind of get lost, it doesn't jive well with me. And yeah, while the single player and offline experience will live on forever, there is something special about Smashes Online that I've put hundreds of hours into, and I still return to every now and then. It's not just Ultimate for me. I often return to other Smashes, and I often play Smash 4 online with strangers. The original Super Mario Maker has already been hurt before. It previously lost its ability to upload levels, so it's just an existing pool of levels that have been put onto the Mario Maker server that you can play right now. And that's about to go too. This entire game's purpose is basically about to disappear. And I hear you. Mario Maker 2 exists. Why would you want to ever go back to the first one? Well, there's very distinct properties about Mario Maker 1. Like, yeah, there are amiibo costumes, and yeah, the interface is different. But also, you've just got millions of levels that have been made already. And that kind of value, that kind of time put in by players cannot be replaced by a sequel. So yeah, while Mario Maker 2 may have a bunch of other levels that you can play, there are just classic ones made within the first Mario Maker that you can access right now, but as of April, no, you're shut off from them. It's funny, you can click new arrivals in this game and there's nothing, but if you go highlights or, most highly ranked, you will find just this wonderful list of levels, and of course you can search for them with codes as well. But I really do recommend downloading the ones that you admire now, because otherwise you'll never be able to play them again. Obviously, Xenoblade Chronicles X was one of the best games on the system that very few people played, and you can really gauge how few people played it when talking about the online mode. Yes, this game had online. There was quite a lot of online functionality. It was everywhere in this game. When you boot up the game, it asks you what you want to do. Do you want to play with a single-player experience? Do you want to play with online? Do you want to play with friends? Every time you boot up the game, it'll ask you that. And basically, the way online is intertwined is you can recruit random people or your friends into your party as a fourth party member. Usually it's just 3 of you. You can find a ghost of your friend and it'll take their level, their stats, and it'll put them in your party. But it's more than that. There's also squad goals. You can go around and just try and contribute to a squad by doing these objectives, which will get you new items. And then there's actual full-fledged multiplayer, co-op. There are these multiplayer-specific challenges, which, yes, you can do on your own, but they're really meant to be played with someone else. And you can just sit there and wait for matchmaking to match you with someone. And yes, there are still people playing this. This is the best way to get you some of the most powerful things in the game. And without online, I'm not sure you could get the best skill. I'm not sure you could get the best items. It really is a necessity to 100%ing Xenoblade X in a sane way. Without this, I think it would be way too tedious. It's a core part of the game, and X losing online, it really devalues it. Without online, X is not X. This game, now more than ever, desperately needs a port. It's a very unique Xenoblade, and a lot of that does come down to it being a multiplayer game. The original Splatoon is still played by thousands every single day. I'd wager this is the most highly played Wii U game. Many in Japan specifically tend to gravitate back to the first one. There's a different feeling meta, the weapons feel different, and while many of the maps and even the hub itself have returned in Splatoon 3, that doesn't replace anything. There's something about the balance of this game's weapons and its specials and its maps. They're just distinct, and even just the game feel and the way that the motion controls feel different and the online tick rate feels different, it's just a different feeling game. And while Splatoon 1 will still have value, given it has a wholly unique single-player experience, there's something about that original debut that's irreplaceable. And this 9-year run that Splatoon 1 will have had just feels too short. Like, Splatoon's ushered in a whole new wave of Nintendo fans, and to celebrate its original entry by cutting it off before a decade. The whole online world of preservation makes me sad. Makes me want to cry from my paws? That's just sweating. Eyes. I am a human, I swear. And I think the biggest loss of them all is Pokemon. X and Y, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. There's many aspects that are going to be lost, and it's all a shame. Stuff like online trading, online battling. But it's not limited to its own scope. For many decades, Pokemon has been forward compatible. Right now, you can take Pokemon from Ruby and Sapphire and move them forward to Fire Red and Leaf Green, move them forward to Diamond and Pearl, move them forward to Black and White, move Black and White forward to the 3DS with X and Y, bring them to Pokemon Bank, then bring them to the future on the Switch with Gen 8. And while Pokemon Bank itself is said not to be going offline with everything else, we know it's coming. And even just to lose the online functionality within these individual games is a shame. But Pokemon Bank isn't going to last forever. And I would highly recommend that if you have Pokemon from the past that you want to bring forward, do it now. Don't wait. Don't wait for Bank to go offline. Just do it before everything else does. Because once Bank's gone, that's everything before the Switch cut off. The Switch will essentially be a soft reboot for Pokemon. All those childhood memories, childhood friends you made via those little creatures, they're going to be left in the past. And that stings more than anything else. So while Bank is not guaranteed to go anywhere just yet, we know the writing's on the wall. We knew the writing was on the wall for this when the eShop went down. There are many other games I didn't mention. These are basically just the big Nintendo first-party games. But, God, what a horrible event. Wii U is definitely losing some stuff. Thankfully, a lot of its games were ported to Switch. They're kind of preserved. But 3DS, no way. 3DS is losing so many games. Irreplaceable stuff that has no alternative, like Kid Icarus Uprising. And while some games are being ported, like Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon 2, is finding its way to Switch, so it's online, it's actually making its way to Switch and isn't going anywhere, at least in that version, we can only hope that more 3DS ports happen. Hopefully Kid Icarus Uprising is on the way. Hopefully that's what that secret Bandai Namco game was. But yeah, what a severe loss all around. And of course, any game that required updates will probably suffer as well. So if you've not updated your Street Pass, you should do that. Otherwise you'll be stuck with just the puzzle pieces from the software pre-built. There's many that were added after that. So make sure you've updated things as well. But yeah, what a bummer of a video, huh? Man. Or is it? Because they're not actually going anywhere. Because we're all in denial. Come on, everyone, join me in the denial circle. We're doing good. Let's all play Resident Evil: The Mercenaries 3D forever. Bye, everyone.